Hi everybody, it's Joey and I'm back with another camera related review. This episode I'm going to be focusing on Sony's 35mm 1.8 lens in my hand right now. Oh, is it going to focus? Is it going to focus? This segment of the video I'm actually recording at 35mm on a 16 to 35mm f4 lens. So it's the old 16 to 35 f4. And I've been going back and forth if I wanted to buy the new 16 to 35 millimeter at the better light rating. Everybody swears by that lens. But I've watched a couple of Gerald Undone videos, and Gerald Undone, he's crazy. Gerald Undone swears by this 35 millimeter lens. He does most of his videos on it, or at least he did do most of his videos on it. And I also have the 20 millimeter f8, which I did a lot of my initial videos on the Sony a7C on the 20 millimeter, but I've noticed some focus breathing on the 20 millimeter, and one of the things that Gerald Undone had mentioned about the 35 millimeter is that it really doesn't focus breathe, especially compared to other 35 millimeter third-party lenses. I had my eye out on this lens, and then recently Amazon, I set up a camel.com pricing alert. If you don't know what camel.com is, this is not a plug. I'm not getting paid for this. You can feed links to this camel.com of a product on Amazon, and you can set it to alert you if it reaches a certain price, if it's on sale. So Sony stuff doesn't go on sale a ton. I threw caution to the wind. I set up an alert for the 35 millimeter just to see if it ever goes on sale, and lo and behold, a couple of weeks ago, it did. It was like $250 off of retail, so I got it like for $600 or $650, and it's usually around $8 or $850. So I bought it, and I did like one video for a couple of seconds, so I wanted an excuse to use the lens, so I'm making a video about the lens. Now you might also be asking, well, you have a lens that can handle 35 millimeters with the one that you have on your camera right now. The f4 16 to 35 millimeter lens, it has a tendency of being soft at the 35 millimeter range, so the lens is quite good in the wider 16, but not so great with the 35. It's fine. It's on 35 right now, and I did that on purpose so I could compare. The other thing that I did, I'm in my basement where I normally record, I didn't turn any lights on with the exception of one ring light that I have, and it's pushed out over here. And I also did that on purpose to see the comparison in lower light. It's fairly dark down here, and from what I could see on the monitor at the 35 millimeter, the 16 to 35 millimeter, it doesn't look too bad, but I want to see if there's an improvement with the f8. I am not the most qualified evaluator of lenses by any means. There are much more experienced photographers and people who use this equipment, but I'm getting better. So this is more about me learning how to evaluate these lenses and make my own observations versus parroting what I'm seeing on other YouTube videos. You're experiencing the journey with me, people. I hope that you enjoy it. So let's switch these lenses. Let's do that. I'm going to do the hand thing, because I never did that before, and I don't like my grubby hands anywhere near the lenses, but I'm going to do the thing where I put my hand towards the camera, and then I'm going to go like, bah, I'm back. So let's do that. All right. Now we're on the 35 millimeter 1.8, and I can already see. Hold on. Shadow, no. Yeah, you can see the shadow right there. So, much more sensitive lens, even in the, I'm using the pop out, so I'm sorry that I'm not looking directly at the lens because I'm looking at the pop out here. Much more sensitive lens here. Definitely more light sensitive. It's certainly brighter. I'm actually going to turn down the ring light, which I don't know if that's going to mess up my experiment, because I'm going to turn down the ring light. So I'm going to talk a little bit more before I shut that off, because I just want to see what that looks like. Again, I have no other lights on in this basement, and outside of the management of the shadows, I think it's rather bright. So that's a win for me. If you follow any of my other videos, you know that I struggle tremendously with lighting. I think that I've bought some expensive lights. I have this cheap ring light that I use sometimes. I just try to... I want it to look good, but I'm not like insane about it. So yeah, that's why I'm also picking this shot here on the couch. I don't ever use this shot, and I thought it might be cool to have the computers in the background over there. One other thing about this Sony 35mm 1.8 full frame lens is that this particular lens is not image stabilized. This does not have optical image stabilization. The 16 to 35 f4 does in fact have optical image stabilization, which makes that a very good run and gun lens because it has a stabilization. The A7C also has image stabilization, so you're kind of covered either way. So if I were to use this 35mm on the street or whatever, I do have the stabilization in the camera. The one benefit of this lens, other than it being an f8, this lens is a lot smaller. It is a lot smaller than the 16 to 35 because it's a prime lens. So that's always nice. I'll say this about taking a professional camera out in public, especially if you're doing it with the like an external mic attached to the hot shoe. It draws attention. It draws attention to whatever you're trying to do in public. I've made comments in other videos that at 40 something years old, I don't want to have like a Joby Gorilla Pod in a camera and like kind of hold it and like film myself and turn the camera back on myself. I think you look a little less conspicuous if you're just holding a camera and you have it like in a strap or something like that. I don't think you look super conspicuous taking a picture out in public. But when you have it on the tripod or the Gorilla Pod, you really make a spectacle out of yourself. And I don't like to do that. I think people give you funny looks. And not that I'm worried about the funny looks per se, but here's the drawback about doing video and vlogging out in public. You can't control what is in shot. So even some of the pictures, if you guys are on my personal channel and you're seeing some of the pictures and the videos that I take when I go to like national parks and you go to a waterfall or something, you're still taking pictures of people and their children. They're in the shots, and someone, again, in touristy areas, people aren't as sensitive to the fact that like you may be taking a picture and their kids in it by accident. But I'm conscious of taking pictures and making sure like somebody's kid or whatever isn't in it, because I don't know if I would want someone taking pictures of my kid or my kid is in the background of somebody's video. I don't know if I would like that, to be honest with you. So I try to be respectful of that, and it's sometimes it's difficult to do, and I think people are more hyper aware of what you may or may not be doing when you have the full rig. So to get to the point, that was a bit of a meandering statement. When you have a smaller camera in the A7C, I think the C stands for compact. So having a smaller camera, having a smaller lens, less conspicuous. It gives you an opportunity to sort of do what you want to do and maybe not have people giving you funny looks. I'm gonna turn the light down just to see what happens with the shadow. I'll be right back. All right, so this has a much more natural tone. The shadow's still there, but I gotta say, I'll be curious when I'm editing the video, but I have to say this doesn't look too bad. I know that it's daylight outside and you have sort of the backfill with the window, but it's 6 o'clock at night. So it's not like the light is totally coming in here. I kind of think it looks pretty good. I'll put a comment down here, like right here, if when I'm editing it and it's on a bigger monitor, I'm like, oh no, it doesn't look good at all. But it looks kind of good. It looks kind of natural. So stationary shooting on a tripod in a very, very low lit basement, I'm rather impressed with the way this camera looks and the way this lens looks. Now, one of my friends called me out and said, dude, you have a problem. You've been collecting lenses quite a bit lately. They may be right. The more I learn about lenses, the more I learn about the Sony system and the more I learn about aperture. Some of the earlier purchases that I made, I probably wouldn't have I think I've mentioned this in other videos before. I did buy the kit lens that came with the A7C, and I probably never would have done that if I had waited. Maybe if I knew what I knew even a couple of months later, I probably wouldn't have bought that lens. It is small, and I have a Sony Alpha 5100, which is old, but I think that even though the kit lens that came with the A7C is a full frame lens, I think it would pair very nicely because it zooms with the 5100, which is a crop sensor. So I've been thinking about using that even like on a gimbal, but in general, I'm not super happy with that lens. I also kind of think that if I had waited and knew a little bit more, I probably would have bought the 16 to 35 2.8 as opposed to the 4. It's a lot more money, and right now that 16 to 35 f4, it's doing just fine. Honestly, for everything that I've done, you've seen most of my videos, everything looks sharp and nice. It's fine, and I'm still learning, but I think that I probably would have gone the other way if I had waited and I knew a little bit more. So you live and you learn. Although Tamron's got another option out there that kind of floats in that range. I forget the exact zoom capacity, but it's a 2.8 and it has optical image stabilization or whatever their version of it is. I think the Sony, for most reviews, the Sony's got a little bit of an edge on it, but I think you're paying for that. So again, I'm not a professional photographer. This is a hobby, so we'll see. But the light options, having an aperture at 2.8 versus 4, that definitely helps, even for the stuff that I do. So I would likely invest in that. So at a focal range at 35, I'm also kind of curious. I didn't move the tripod, so it's going to be interesting. I might go back and forth from the other lens. I may be slightly out of position from where I was, but I haven't moved the tripod. I feel like there's a little bit more width with this one. But I did have that camera punched in. I did have that one punched into 35. So that'll be interesting to do a little comparison. But as a whole, I think that this looks pretty nice. And I like not having that stupid ring light. I'll also zoom in right here just to see if, even at the distance that I have the ring light at, if I'm getting the rings in the eyes or not. And it's off to the side. Normally when I record, I film with the ring light directly behind the camera. I noticed that the ring light has a tendency of casting more shadow when I do it at that 45-degree angle, which again, when you're looking at most classic lighting rigs, they say to put the primary light at a 45-degree angle from where you're sitting, and then you put a support light off to the side that would be like kind of hitting right here, and then you might have even a more interesting backlight, which I'm using the window as that backlight situation. But I'm lazy, and I didn't want to get an additional light and set that thing up because the other light that I have is a real pain in the butt to set up. And I also like not having the microphone as close as I normally do. When I record at the table, and when you see me at this green screen, it's over there. I'm not going to move the camera head, but it's just basically a table. And I usually put the tripod on top of the table, and if I'm using the 20mm prime, that gets fairly close. Or if I use the 16 to 35, I'm usually somewhere in the early 20s. And the reason why I have to do that is if I'm using the green screen screen's not that wide, so I have to punch in pretty tight to use the green screen. So it's kind of nice not having the camera so close to my face and not having the microphone redline as much, because as I'm recording this, and again, I do apologize for looking at the screen, but as I'm recording this, I'm also checking to see if the mic is redlining, and normally it does, and I might have to do some tricks in editing so it doesn't sound as blown out. And I have been also reducing the sensitivity of the mic and the camera. But this is looking like really nice. So this is like a nice distance for me. I kind of like that it's a little back. And like, I don't know, if I do this, oh, no, this is a little too relaxed. So I shouldn't be doing that. I could move the tripod closer, but I don't really like it. Actually, we should do one more test. I'm just going to shut the damn light off and see what happens. I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. Let's see what happens when I do that, and if this looks like hot garbage. Let's do that right now. Okay, this is dark, but it's not. I can't tell if it would be grainy or not. And I have to say that the camera is kind of adjusting. Actually, this doesn't look that bad. This would be a game changer if I can like record practically in the dark at dusk and have natural lighting, because guess what? The shadow's gone. The shadow is gone. Wow. This doesn't look bad at all. This is the difference between an f4 and an f1.8. Assuming that it looks good in post when I'm editing, but it looks really nice in the monitor. Yeah, Sony. What's the takeaway here on this video? Number one, camel.com, not getting paid for this. Set up some pricing alerts if you want to save some bucks on new lenses. And I have bought a lot of lenses on eBay to save some money. But sometimes I get nervous that I'm buying like lenses that, like somebody might have stolen or something like that. Like, you try to do the vetting, but I don't know, sometimes you get these good deals and you're like, man, this is a really good deal. I don't, and this person doesn't have like a ton of history. I don't know about this. So sometimes I get a little sketched out about buying lenses on eBay. But this was a brand new one, and it was, like I said, like $200, $250 off. And I haven't seen prices, even when I was looking for this camera lens used on eBay, it was in that $600 to $650 range. So yeah, it was a good price to buy brand new, and I was kind of happy to do it. Here's another moment of synergy story. B&H.com. B&H has a daily sale, and B&H had a sale a couple of weeks ago, and I was almost going to pull the trigger. It was a 35mm. It was a Samyang or a Rokinon lens, and it was an f8, or I'm sorry, an f1.8. I think they retail from anywhere between $350 and $400. And Rokinon and Samyang, they're basically the same company, but it's just a branding thing. So it's the same lens. But B&H had it on sale for $300, and I was ready to pull the trigger on that. I was ready to do that, and then I had seen a couple of reviews that did like a three-way dance between this lens, the Samyang / Rokinon, and then I think there was a Sigma lens in the 35mm range of prime. So there's like a three-way dance between these three primes, and the one thing that they had said with the Samyang or Rokinon is that it has a lot of focus breathing, or it focus breathes more. That scared me off, because I was having the problem with the 20mm Sony lens, and I didn't want that issue. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to buy this lens. I'm going to wait. I'm either going to get the 35mm 1.8, or I may figure it out and get the 16 to 35 2.8, the zoom. So then a couple of weeks later, this got on sale, or went on sale with Amazon. So I guess the secret, or a tip for any burgeoning photographers, set up those alerts on camel.com. That is specific to Amazon. And then B&H, they have their daily sale. They have like a deal zone at the top header of the site. I check it every day to see if there's any goodies that I'm looking for with the cameras. They don't usually have like a camera on sale ever. I mean, at least not in like the year or so that I've been looking. But every once in a while, there's a couple of good lenses. Also, if you're like Peak Design fan, sometimes they have some great sales on Peak Design stuff. So again, not getting paid by B&H, not getting paid by Camel. But if you're looking for lenses on the cheap, or you're looking for some sales, that's what I do. So there you go. 3 statuses of light, 2 different lenses. From what I can see in the flip out of the camera, this looks great. And thank you for watching me play with my new lens. Hope you have a great day. Come back for more. See ya.